You know, you in the book, of course, Tell All is the new book that it's out, and it had me also thinking about celebrity because at no point, and we've heard all the celebrities complain about it over the years, but at no point it does it seem like these people are ready to walk away. We always hear the term, I have my fuck you money, but no one ever says fuck you and takes that walk away from it all like Salinger did. They will lower their standards and start to do whatever it takes to get back on television.
No, wait. Bob Stone moved to France, didn't he?
Is that who pulled it off?
No, he was the man who said, if so-and-so is elected now. No, you're right. They don't.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? What is it? And again, you are in this point where people are interested in what you have to say, but what is it about the allure of being a celebrity, do you think?
I think people recognize different levels of power. Mm-hmm. And there's that first level of power where you are the new, bright, shiny thing. Mm-hmm. The Scarlett O'Hara at 12 Oaks, with her shoulders bare, mm-hmm. and surrounded by beaux being served cake. And then you lose that, and you're the haggard Scarlett O'Hara that's eating dirt out in the field and saying, as God is my witness.
No.
Yeah, and your series has been canceled. And then you come back, and you're the Scarlett O'Hara that's wearing a dress made out of curtains. And you start to see that life consists of different forms of power. And the trick is to transition from being the pretty thing to being the smart thing to being the resilient thing. Mm-hmm. That you have to transition through all these different forms of power. And that I think celebrities recognize that as much as anyone.
It really is interesting when you were bringing that up. It always has me, and I'm trying to get through this thought with a couple of friends of mine, that at a certain point of that woman that at first they're at a sex symbol and all, and as they're kind of battling their way back and they're kind of tacky, but they're still overdressing, is where the gay audience will always come in and go, we're a huge fan of what you're doing right now. I've always been curious about where that comes from.
You know, I think a big part of that comes from resiliency, mm-hmm. that they are just refusing to step off that stage, that they are still around, that just the fact that they have lasted is admirable. Mm-hmm. But to another extent, it's because I think for a lot of gay people, they go from complete non-functioning obscurity mm-hmm. in, say, high school or college, and then they come out, and then they are the attractive new thing that has all the power, that is the most sort of sought-after thing in their culture. And then gradually they lose that power as they age. And so they identify very, very closely with that Debbie Reynolds, who was the pretty, smiling, singing thing, and then no longer is that thing, but still refuses to step off the stage.
Still refuses to give up on the youth thing at all. The new book, you're writing a book as you're putting this one out, right? You've got a book going at all times. What's the next one about?
The next one is kind of a takeoff on Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And it's a book called Damned, and it's written in the conventions of all of the Judy Blume novels. But this is about an 11-year-old an 11-year-old girl who wakes up and finds that she's dead and in hell, and that she's going to be in hell for the rest of eternity, and that she'd better make the best of it.
And this is another thing for you to wrestle, because it sounds like almost an impossible place to start. Sounds like a crazy place to start.
You want to know the secret?
Yeah.
I wrote Tell All last year as my mother was dying of cancer, and I gave up my home, and I went and I lived with her for a year. And so pretty much the entire novel was written either sitting at her bedside in hospitals or caring for her in her very quiet house as she died. And at the end of it, she was dead. And at the same time, I started writing this novel about this little girl in hell, because since my father was killed in '99 and my mother died last year, I'm kind of, in a 48-year-old orphan. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't really write a novel about a 48-year-old orphan who misses his parents. There's nothing very special in that. But a little dead girl who's in hell and really misses her parents, but is still kind of plucky and cheerful, that could be funny. So you take the horrible situation of your immediate life that you can't fix, but is really miserable to be with, and you kind of invert it, and you can turn it into a comedy, and you can make something out of it, and you can still express and exhaust those same feelings.
Now, do you realize that you're doing that at the time? Do you say, here's a way for me to take this? And it is horror when you're going through that with a family member. I mean, there's no more terror and no more of what is life about and why even bother. But it's some place that you go and find a place to be creative. Are you doing that on purpose, or is that just the story that starts to come to you?
Initially, typically it's just a story. You don't recognize what it is literally, but something about it as a metaphor is really appealing. It seems to express something for you. It resonates with you. You attach to it. And it's only after you're part of the way into it that you might realize what you're really writing about. And sometimes it's not until a year later when you're touring with the book that you realize what you've actually written.
Wow. That is just wild. And you've been on a wild trip through this whole thing. It's really, really an amazing thing, Chuck, to see that you've been able to build this audience, to keep them, and to keep everybody following along with the next one. It's really great.
Well, it's been a lot of fun for me, too, so thank you.
Chuck Palahniuk, the brand new book is Tell All. As usual, run out and grab it. It's always fun, light summer reading to have there with you on the beach.
About my mother's death, light summer reading. Thank you very much.
See you, my friend.
Thank you.